the same trajectory doesn't happen for an actor.
Not at all.
You can't say, if I work hard and I keep my head down, I'm going to be here in 12 months, because you may not be.
You have no idea.
And the saddest thing is you could be the best actor in the world and no one may ever know it.
Yeah.
You know?
And that was one thing.
That's me. You know? I'm tired of it.
All right, acting is what we're talking about today. Now you've ruined the reveal. You were going to be the reveal on this camera, but now there he is. So here we are, we're talking with Adam Dunn today, who has been all over the traps.
When I made that decision to leave university and become an actor, I had no idea where to start. So I don't know if you remember the old Drum Media magazines?
Yeah.
Free magazines. And at the back, they used to have like sort of acting classes and stuff.
Okay. What were the, doing things like the Actors Pulse and all that sort of stuff, what were the early breakthroughs? Like what were the, because I know I had them myself.
I think for me, the big light bulb moment, well, it's obviously a million that you have, but
yeah.
when I started to understand that the people that we are every day that walk around on the street is not actually who we are.
Yep.
And
okay. Oh yeah. Okay.
Our acting selves,
yeah,
basically, you know, who we are as actors, we're actually the true versions of ourselves. So the people that you see on camera are the true versions of people, and that's why you want to watch it, because they're actually telling the truth more than what the person walking around in their everyday would be.
Yeah.
So that was interesting, sort of realizing that acting wasn't wanky thing number two. Acting wasn't putting a mask on, it was taking one off.
In my mind, you know, technique is what you fall back on when instincts aren't working, because you hope that once you're at a certain point, not that you ever stop learning, but once you're ready, you know, you've done your training, you've done your sort of like your ABCs, that hopefully it's in you a bit more and it just sort of happens, and then when it's not happening, you can fall back on something.
Sure. And I think the real thing is going back to who that character is. Like, you've really just got to peel it back to the very, very bare essentials, and find that common ground between you and that person. And some people say, well, I'll never have anything in common with that person. And it's like, even if it's a common desire to live or whatever it is, you can find that connection between that person.
No one thinks they're the bad guy. Like, everyone has a reason for doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
So no one, and so it's sort of related to acting in the sense that, like, you know, you're not going out there playing a bad guy, you're playing a person who's trying to provide for their family because, you know, they're about to die or whatever it is, you know.
I mean, in my mind, in my perfect world, you know, I was going to graduate from acting school, then I was going to get a small part in a film, and
everyone's going to
go,
whoa!
Be critically acclaimed. Who was that guy? Another director would be like, that guy's amazing, I want him in my film. And
there's no small parts, only small actors.
And it grows into this. And then I was 26 years old, and I still hadn't even had the audition for the film that I was going to be in.
Yeah, right.
Hadn't even had the audition, hadn't even had the opportunity to test for that film. I mean, when I got my first ad, my first paid job.
Which was?
Commonwealth Bank.
Okay.
And it was just, I couldn't believe it. I was thrilled. You know, I was the lead character in the ad. It was a funny commercial. It was a great first ad to have.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't believe it. And I thought, it's only up from here, baby. And the amount of times I've had that in my career, I've gone, I've got this, it's only up from here. And I've been sadly disappointed. But yeah, got that commercial and just thought, this is amazing. And then slowly, as I started getting more commercials and getting work and getting paid, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, I'm getting paid for doing, you know, my job.
Validating.
I love. But then you start to go, but I want to do more. I don't just want to be a commercial person. And I went through a period of time where I really begrudged the commercial world in the sense that, like, you know, this isn't telling the story that I want to tell, and I was coming at it from the wrong way. You know, I was looking at that. And then ironically, commercials really gave me my stepping stone into making my own films, because all of a sudden I started meeting filmmakers and people who were, you know, wanting to do similar things to me, because directors don't grow up wanting to make commercials either. They want to make other things as well. So I met directors who were fantastic and wanted to make work and wanted to work with me, and then all of a sudden, by the time I was 26, I decided that I could no longer wait for someone to put me in a movie. I had to make my own work. It's time to work for yourself. And That's one of the biggest things I could ever say to any actor is don't wait for people to give you a job. You can't, because you'll wait forever. You'll wait.
Which is the age-old advice. What was your real life experience? Because you were the cash cow, right? So like talk about that a bit, like you being the cash cow, and then what gave you the idea, and then the execution of the film, how it all happened.
Well, I'd worked for Channel 7 at that stage for maybe 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
And during that time, I was the guest greeter for Sunrise, which means I would look after all the guests that came on the show and make sure they got down to makeup in time. And part of that job is to get dressed up as the cash cow and dance around.
Yep.
And I hated it. I don't know why I hated it,
Okay.
but I hated it. And we slowly but surely sort of came to this realization that it'd be really funny to play a character who saw himself as a very serious working actor who just happened to be the cash cow at Channel 7.
How did you get Channel 9 on board? Because you also had them
Yeah, that was interesting. That was more like a getting Channel 7 on board, asking the actual executive producer, who I was expecting to, like, first of all, I sent the scripts to Koshi and Mel, and in the script, I think I say something like, "Shut the fuck up, Koshi," and I had no idea how he was going to take that.
How that apply?
Yeah, and he read the script and he was like, "Great, when can we do it?" And I was like, "Okay." I had talked to the executive producer,
and then so like because you've done Cash Cow, and then more recently you did Drawcard with Thomas, and that was a finalist at Tropfest. What's your take on, I guess, because it's sort of to do with that whole thing of like doing your own work and being proactive, and then like you say that no one's sort of as invested in your project as what you are, and then you have Tropfest, which is this amazing platform, but then also has its limitations in terms of how much it benefits you as an individual. What's your take on Tropfest and like what it has to offer, and the whole Drawcard thing? Like, did you think things would come out of that didn't, or were you happy with Drawcard actually, the final product?
Drawcard to date is the film that I'm most proud of.
Yeah. I think, and this is just my opinion, but I think that what I love about Drawcard, I think it's like it's slickly produced in terms of like it looks like someone who knows how to make a film, and because it's like, to me, like Tropfest is almost like those. It should be those films that are like the badumch, like it like gives you the setup and then the punchline at the end, and that's almost what Drawcard is.
It was definitely made for Tropfest. Like it was made with Tropfest in mind, for sure. And I think there's a danger of that happening. I think people talk about the Tropfest film. And I think there's a danger of that happening. I don't think people should be slavish to a rule or a format of they should make a story. Drawcard just happened to be a good Tropfest film. I would look at my sort of career so far and feel like I wish I could have done more. You know what I mean? But then you get others who would say, that's brilliant, I wish I had that. Yeah. So there's no way to gauge how you're going, and
I think it's very toxic to compare yourself to other people,
for sure,
because it never holds up. The circumstances are always different.
Yeah, and like as an actor, you kind of always look back on your retrospective of what you've done, and you go, how does that stack up to anything? But you have nothing to base it on. So
you know that when you Google Adam Dunn,
he's a baseball player.
He's a baseball player. Do you know what his nickname is?
Big Donkey.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got a story about that actually. I was in the States and I was booking a restaurant for my birthday. And I called up and I just sort of said, "Hi, how's it going? Can I make an appointment I want to make a reservation for my birthday?" And they said, "Sure, what's the name?" And I said, "Adam Dunn." And the guy went, "The Adam Dunn?" And I went,
"Yeah, the Adam Dunn."
It's like, he's obviously seen my work. Yeah. And then I turned up with all my friends. They put us in a special room. And this guy comes in, he's like, "Oh, is Adam Dunn here?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like,
"Cool.
Happy birthday."
Final question, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates? Where's Big Donkey?
Yeah, welcome Big Donkey.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Been a pleasure.